Hello, it's Anne Marie of Art of Alignment Academy. And today I want to talk about sobriety of the spirit. And I have a story that I read on BuzzFeed, an article. It goes like this. This person is saying, I never really felt like I had a choice in social situations or the people I was around. I couldn't really sort through who I actually wanted to be around because I felt like I was just along for the ride and I wasn't really in charge. When you're an addict and you're not sober, you feel trapped. It was just one blackout after another, messing up relationships, apologizing for things. And it was pretty much that way for 10 years. I look back and am amazed at how long I was okay with settling for that life. Sobriety of the spirit is about asking important questions to oneself about how okay are you with the type of life that you're living, especially right now with the increase in the noise, societal noise, political noise, COVID, pandemic noise. And for me, sobriety of the spirit really speaks to learning how to have a more impactful conversation with ourselves, our spirit. So I'm not talking about a spiritual connection or spirituality per se, but rather more about what is your relationship with your own life force, your own spirit, that which animates you. And so, in order to become more and more sober around having those types of conversations, I think that language has a huge part to play in it. So this is specifically about how would we speak to ourselves? How would we speak to our bodies in order to maintain a sober relationship with ourselves? And to move out of the addiction, of the noise, of the distractions. Because from where I'm sitting, I'm only seeing more and more distractions coming our way, whether it's social media, whether it's learning how to create more posts using more blings and dings and special effects. There are so many aspects of us moving into this potentially new era, which really is a new era. I think that the post COVID, or it's not even post COVID, it's actually how are we going to integrate the pandemic into our lives? How are we going to move out of this unless we're sober? So I'm talking about self management here. The type of language that we all use in order to bring ourselves back to center, so to speak. It's very much related to how you show up in your body. So someone who is sober in their mind usually will show up with a sober looking body, meaning that there's a sense of presence, you're comfortable in your body, there's no trying to put on a different face to adapt or acclimate to the environment. There's just a natural way of being that tends to show up in becoming more and more comfortable with who we are. So it's in that term, in that sense, that I want to use the word sober and to invite you to consider this. Give it some thought if you're finding yourself, whether it's an addiction to social media. During COVID, I think that there has been an increase in addiction, certainly with alcohol, with food, maybe even with exercise. Addiction is just something that we tend to start to go to automatically without thinking about it as a means to heal, to soothe something within us. But because we're doing it in a way that is grasping, that we're looking for something outside ourselves to heal and soothe ourselves, that in itself starts to generate an addictive behavior. So sobriety of the spirit is really about how are we moving forward here within our own lives, our personal conversation with the self. What type of language do you use? to speak with yourself? Are you someone who offers words of support? Do you tend to have a compassionate nature for yourself? Or do you find yourself frequently criticizing that you're not enough, that this could be better? And also, added to that is a certain level of anxiety that tends to show up, especially in times of crisis. It's hard enough when we're going through a time of crisis in our own lives when everything is seemingly normal in the world. But now that we're going through this pandemic, how are we managing ourselves? How are you managing yourself in terms of maintaining a sense of sobriety, that your mind does not keep moving into the whirlwind of the downward spiral? How is it that you bring yourself in a space where you actually can have optimism and a positive outlook as to what's to come? These are absolutely destabilizing times for everyone. How do we maintain a sense of sobriety throughout these times? So I'm inviting you to consider these questions, and also to invite you to consider joining my circles of discussion. I offer these on a monthly basis with a group of enlivened, intelligent, curious people, and I really like to create a community of people who come together to have discussions on Zoom. They're live on Zoom sessions where I facilitate the conversation, but really it's more about us coming together to discuss certain topics about, for example, how do we maintain sobriety of the mind? How do we maintain sobriety of our hearts? What's going on in your life where you feel like you might need some support in these areas? That's exactly what happens in our circles of discussion. And also, check out the Art of Mindful Communication workshop. It's showing up again starting March 2nd. It's an 8-week workshop. You have all the information on my website. I hope that you'll take a look, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know how you're doing. You can leave a comment in this post, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.